lost you in the house.
So we as Muslims believe that all the prophets. So then, what my brother said, so we as Muslims don't believe that God had children also. The word only begotten son is spoken about many times in the Bible. For example, Israel is the only begotten son. Israel is the only begotten son. David is the only begotten son. So there are many only begotten sons in the Bible. The angels are the only begotten sons. So you see in Exodus, the angels are good to be with mankind. And so many times we as Muslims believe that Jesus Christ is one of the prophets, but a special prophet. And when Jesus said, and he comforted for the truth, we believe that is the prophet. So if we read Muslims, we have the whole book, the whole chapter of Mary. This explains about life. One of the beautiful things to me is I sum up the Quran, which is really encouraging for me as a person who works with universities and 7 years ago, is that 72 times in the Quran it says God is not forgiving, God is merciful. That is something that we as Muslims rely on. Now you'll see around the mosque, you see this little round piece all the way around the mosque, to the right. And we have the 99 names of God. That doesn't mean God has 99 names. We don't need 99 different gods. We need these names of spiritual words to explain the character of God. God the merciful, God the compassionate, God the kind, God the loving, God the most merciful. These are descriptions. And it's so encouraging for a Muslim to have these words, because these are something that we can put our faith and trust in. If God says he is most merciful, then he is not forgiven. We know that we can repent, we can turn away from what we're doing wrong, we can turn to repentance to Allah and receive that forgiveness. If we truly repent, we will also love him. So for a Muslim, it's so easy to become a Muslim. It's a one-step program. It's not a 12-step program. It doesn't take lots of hard work. It's a one-step program. And that is to declare that there is no other God worthy of worship other than Allah. And that the Prophet Muhammad is the final messenger of Allah, along with all the prophets, even all the prophets. So it says that if you deny one prophet, you deny all. So if we deny, Abraham wasn't a prophet, we deny all the prophets. If we deny that Jesus was a prophet, we deny all the prophets. If we deny that John the Baptist was a prophet, we deny all the prophets. So for Muslims, we have to respect all of them. So if we can say anything from the Quran, you will get a copy of the Quran in English, so that you can understand it and read it, that you can keep your relation. It's a book of word and reading. It's a book of word and understanding. Because it really does bring a fullness to what you do in this. Which first document that's not the way to read it. To read it is to understand it and see it. So many similarities, there's so many common grounds. And Muslims throughout the world, we're not all crazy. We're not all Jill Jones or Islamic Propagation or people like that. The majority of us. Label the whole of Christianity after that. And here he was one crazy man, David Koresh, Jim Jones, crazy people. We don't label the whole of religion like that. Islam, when you see it on the CNN, when you see it on BBC, or you see it on whatever channel, remember that these are extremists. They're not speaking on behalf of the Muslim community. Okay.
Sometimes, actually, if you get it to the political, apart from partially as a result of context, we'll explain it further in the session. If there's any questions that you might have, I know we've got, but I mean, you know, why I want to ask you guys to ask, because during the last year, people don't get an opportunity to ask questions, so if there's anything that you're willing to ask, rights of women, what is jihad, what is holy war, anything that troubles your mind, go ahead and ask the Lord. Anything at all. And don't be afraid. The question asked is, why is it that women have to cover their heads? Now, the answer to that is purely, and I think we've got a lady behind her, she's being far more better domestic answer than I do, since she's a woman herself. The main reason is essentially to establish policy. In Surah Nur, which is a chapter of life and crime, it says, say to the believing men that they should lower their head, their gaze, cast down their head, and establish honesty. And it goes on to say, say to the believing women that they should lower their gaze, not cast down, not on them, and basically engage and tell honesty. Now, the problem that people normally have is that the covering of the head of almost a woman should not be viewed as something in any way oppressive. The reason why in the Western society this is being viewed as oppressive is primarily because in the Judeo-Christian tradition that was a sign of a woman's submission. If you're familiar with the book of Genesis, the 3rd chapter, it says, and the woman said, I'll greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. And so shall you conceive and your desire shall be your husband. He shall rule over you. For many people, that was basically the basis of the beginning of patriarchy. Further on, if you look in the book of Acts, Paul, I believe in the book of Acts or in the book of Romans, if I remember certainly correctly, there the actual act of covering one's head is basically because Paul gives the reason that, the actual quotation is in the book of Corinthians, in 1 Corinthians. But I would have you know that the head of the man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is God. But every woman that prays, prophesies with the head uncovered, this honors the head, or even unto one as if she was shaven. For if the woman be not covered, let her also be shorn. So here the Bible tells you that if the woman's head is not covered in time of worship, the head should be shaved off. And the reason given for that is because the man symbolically is the head of the woman. But in Islam that is not the case. In Islam when the woman covers the head, it's basically as a mark of respect. It's basically as a means to recognize her in society. If you look at the classical period during the time of the Caliphate, specifically in the reign of Umar, who was at one particular point in time the commander of the Roman Empire, there was a point where in the mosque, and back then the mosque was a hub of activity. There were debates that were taking place, there was political activity taking place, arguments taking place, and so on, intellectual discourse. And there came a point in time when he was basically enumerating and amplifying certain judicial decisions that he wanted to make, certain amendments, particularly pertaining to the issue of dowry. And in that context, addressing this entire congregation, you had a woman who stood up and corrected him and challenged him and told him that he was wrong. Now, this is back in the 6th century. What was his response? Did he say, you are a woman, sit down, keep quiet, you have no right to correct me? On the contrary, he said that this woman is right and I am wrong, Omar is wrong. Now, that is something which is unheard of in the 6th century, particularly if you look at the writings of Thomas of Aquinas and Irenaeus and many of the church fathers. Many of their views were patriarchal. Yet, in a multicultural Islamic society in the 6th century, you had essentially an egalitarian society and a community that was great. So the covering of the head is not basically a sign of oppression, which seems to be the indication of what is doing in the facts, but basically as a sign of respect and recognition that the woman is covering herself not to make basically an open show of herself. Because in society today, if you look at the contemporary fashion, if you look at the latest trends of the fashion, who determines it? It's not women, it's men. It's men who determine that. And by and large, the dictates of fashion are run by men. What appeals to you, what basically states the male mind. That's a determining factor. So Islam would say that a woman needs to be recognized for what's within her, not just some outer particular features of her that may seem to be attractive at this point in time or not. I mean, a couple of years ago, and this was an example which was given by one of the founders of the organization here, there was an advertisement in one of the papers for the BMW vehicle. And on the front of the vehicle, you had a woman there who was dressed up in the skimpiness of bikinis. And on the advertisement, it has there on top, it says there, test drive by now. Now, the question is, well, what are you basically doing? What are you doing to women? What are people doing to women? What are men doing to women? Test drive right now, you've got an advertisement for BMW, and you've got a woman who's dressed up in the sneakers or bikinis. Is that not disrespectful to women and to basically old mothers and our sisters? So that's my answer to you, that basically it's essentially a market perspective. Face bread, I might add, is not something which is Islamic. It's an innovation, I would say it's an aberration that came together in the period, particularly if you look at what Korea, or that particular region, which is now modern day Turkey, that was a tradition, that was a cultural practice. Therefore, when you look at the behavioral patterns of what happened